Welcome to this explainer. When severe drought hits North Carolina and your town drops that dreaded 2-day-a-week watering restriction on you, it is so easy to just assume your beautiful green yard is totally done for. But what if I told you that watering less might actually be exactly what your grass needs? Today, we're going to break down how you can actually transform those strict limits into a massive strategic advantage and literally build a more resilient North Carolina lawn. Let's get into it.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. First, we'll tackle the watering restriction myth. Then, we'll map out your specific twice-weekly schedule. Third, we'll cover measuring your output and needs. And we'll wrap it all up with 6 rapid-fire drought survival tips.
So let's just tackle the biggest question right up front. Can your lawn actually survive on just 2 watering days a week? You know, when the brutal heat and that heavy humidity hit, and suddenly you are legally limited to running those sprinklers twice a week, panic sets in. You might literally be looking out your window right now, wondering if your turf is doomed to turn totally brown. But as you'll see, the answer isn't just yes, it's that your lawn might actually thrive because of it.
Section 1. The watering restriction myth. It is time to completely flip the script.
We've got to reframe how we think about hydration here, because what you've probably been doing to quote-unquote help your lawn might actually be setting it up for total failure. See, most homeowners assume a daily, light sprinkle is the way to go. But here is the massive twist. Daily light watering actually trains your grass roots to be lazy. Because the moisture never penetrates deeply, those roots just hang out right near the surface where they are incredibly vulnerable to 90-degree heat. On the flip side, a twice-weekly soaking pushes that moisture several inches down into the dirt. This literally forces the roots to chase the water downward, far away from that hot, evaporating surface. And deeper roots? Well, that means a stronger, far more resilient turf.
Section 2. Your twice-weekly schedule. Let's get into a strategic rhythm.
Now that we know deep roots are the ultimate goal here, we need a master plan to maximize those 2 permitted watering days. By using a Wednesday and Saturday schedule, you're giving your lawn exactly what it needs, right when it needs it. Wednesday is what we call the deep recharge. After a couple of scorching early weekdays, your lawn is stressed, so this session deeply replenishes that lost moisture. Then, Saturday is your weekend setup. Watering Saturday morning gives your turf a totally full reservoir going right into the absolute hottest part of the week.
But listen, the day of the week is really only half the battle. Your critical window to run that system is strictly between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. Why so early? Well, 2 huge reasons. First off, it minimizes evaporation, meaning the water actually hits the root zone instead of just vanishing into the hot morning air. Second, it lets the grass blades dry completely before evening rolls around. If you water at night, that moisture just sits on the leaves all night long, which drastically shoots up your risk for fungal diseases like brown patch.
Section 3. Measuring output and needs. It's all about knowing your specific lawn. To hit that sweet spot of delivering 1 to 1.5 inches of water per week, which, by the way, is the absolute survival zone for North Carolina turf, we have to customize our approach. Because, well, not all grass is created equal. For instance, Bermuda grass needs about 1 to 1.25 inches a week. But if you have tall fescue, which is super common in the Piedmont area, it demands a bit more, up to 1.5 inches. While standard rotary heads put out about 1 inch to 1.5 inches per hour, those are really just estimates. Water pressure and sprinkler heads vary so wildly from house to house. Since every single setup is totally unique, you need to physically measure your output. Enter the incredibly handy tuna-can test. It's so simple. Just place 3 or 4 empty tuna cans randomly around a single watering zone. Turn on your sprinklers, and then time exactly how long it takes to collect half an inch of water in those cans. Whatever that time is, that is your new, customized target runtime for that specific zone. It's honestly a brilliant way to spot bone-dry corners or totally overwatered spots, so you can dial in your timer with absolute precision.
Section 4. 6 drought survival tips. Time to maximize every single drop.
Okay, your schedule is set, your output is measured. Let's bulletproof this strategy with 6 pro-level tips. Tip 1 is all about timing. Like we mentioned, watering between 5 and 8 a.m. can actually reduce your evaporation losses by a staggering 30% compared to midday watering. Guys, that is literally free water you are saving just by changing your alarm clock. The air is cooler, the wind is calmer, and you bypass that nasty overnight fungus risk entirely.
Tip 2. Raise your mower blade exactly half an inch higher than your usual setting. This costs absolutely nothing, takes like 5 seconds, but the results are massive. Taller grass creates this protective canopy that shades the soil, which dramatically slows down surface evaporation. It drops the soil temperature by several degrees, promotes deeper roots, and honestly, it physically shades out those annoying weeds trying to compete for your water. For tip 3, you really have to fight your nurturing instincts. Hold the fertilizer. When your lawn is baking in the heat, it's so tempting to feed it, right? You think you're helping. But nitrogen fertilizer basically acts like an energy drink, stimulating top shoot growth. Forcing the plant to push out new blades dramatically spikes its thirst, right at the exact moment you're underwatering restrictions and literally cannot give it more water. Just hold off completely until consistent rains come back.
Tip 4 is all about understanding the biology of dormancy. Warm season grasses, like Bermuda or zoysia, are evolutionarily hardwired to go dormant and turn brown to survive a drought. They aren't dead, they're literally just sleeping. They only need a tiny ½ inch of water a week just to keep the crown and roots alive. Cool season grasses like tall fescue, though, they do not go dormant the same way. They will actively struggle in the heat and require a lot more monitoring to prevent permanent die-off.
Tip 5 is incredibly simple, but so vital. Every single gallon that hits the pavement is a gallon your lawn doesn't receive. You've got to walk your yard while your system is running. If you see a sprinkler head soaking your driveway or the street, that is purely wasted water, and in a drought, that waste adds up fast. Take 10 seconds, rotate those heads, and make sure 100% of your water is actually landing on the turf. Tip 6. Become a lawn detective. You want to spot these early warning signs of stress before the damage is done. So, if you walk across the lawn and your footprints stay visible because the grass isn't bouncing back, or maybe you notice the blades are actually curling or folding in half to conserve moisture, pay attention to that. Also, watch out for the color shifting from a nice vibrant green to a weird blue-gray color, or check if the soil is quite literally pulling away from the edges of your driveway. Catching this stuff early usually means you can just quickly fix a clogged head or a broken line before it's too late.
And here is a quick bonus tip to keep in your back pocket: the rainfall credit. Mother Nature occasionally does us a solid during a drought. The basic rule of thumb is that 1 inch of rain equals 1 skipped watering session. So if a huge summer thunderstorm drops an inch into your rain gauge, or into those tuna cans you left out, you can totally skip or at least heavily shorten your next scheduled session.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to take this to heart. A 2-day watering restriction is just a constraint. It is absolutely not a death sentence for your yard. By sticking to early mornings, measuring your actual water depth, forcing those roots to chase water deep down, and just tweaking your mower height, your North Carolina lawn is going to do way more than just survive. It's going to emerge with a radically stronger, deeper root system. Which leaves us with one final question. Are you going to keep managing your lawn out of total panic, or are you ready to use these exact restrictions to build an indestructible yard from the roots up? Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.